wake up in the morning, the very first voice you hear is your own. That voice has the power to shape how you see yourself, how you move through your day, and how much strength you discover inside. But here is the truth most people forget. The way you speak to yourself will either open the path to growth or close it. If you spoke to your closest friend with the same words you often say to yourself, would they feel supported, or would they walk away hurt? It is easy to be harsh with yourself, easy to criticize, easy to find every mistake, every flaw, every weakness. But you must ask, what is the purpose of such words? Do they lift you? Do they bring peace? Or do they break your spirit before the world even has the chance to test you? The body follows the mind. When the mind is heavy with negative thoughts, the body grows weaker. When the mind is filled with gentle yet strong words, the body finds energy. This is why you must speak to yourself with the same care you would give to someone you love deeply. Not because life is soft, but because life is already full of difficulty. You do not need to add more pain by becoming your own enemy. There is no strength in destroying yourself. Real strength is in guiding yourself with discipline and compassion at the same time. Imagine training every day with a master who never believed in you. Would you stay? No. But if that master pushed you with patience, with belief, with firmness and care, you would grow beyond your limits. You must become that master for your own life. Every time you face failure, speak to yourself not with judgment, but with encouragement. Stand again, breathe again, try again. Every time fear appears, remind yourself, you have already walked through storms before. You have already survived days you thought would break you. Every time doubt comes, tell yourself, you are learning, you are shaping, you are becoming. The words you tell yourself create the energy you live with each day. This simple truth is often overlooked, yet it is one of the most powerful forces shaping your life. From the moment you open your eyes in the morning, your inner dialogue begins to color your thoughts, your mood, and your actions. If the first thought you hear inside is filled with doubt or judgment, you will carry that weight into every step of your day. But if your first words to yourself are words of belief and strength, then your body, your spirit, and even the way you face challenges will reflect that energy. Think about it. When someone close to you offers you encouragement, you stand taller, you breathe easier, and you find strength you didn't know you had. But when the same person speaks with harshness, it pulls your energy down, and suddenly everything feels heavier. The same happens inside your mind. The voice that speaks to you most often is your own, and it is also the voice you cannot escape. If that voice becomes your constant critic, it will cut away your motivation, leaving you empty before the day has even begun. Yet if that voice becomes your constant source of encouragement, it will give you the fuel to push forward when the world tests you. There are people who believe that being hard on themselves is the way to achieve greatness. They think that criticizing every mistake will make them stronger. But the truth is, constant criticism drains energy instead of creating it. It leaves no space for growth, only pressure and exhaustion. Strength is not built in an environment of endless judgment. It is built in an environment where you are challenged but supported. Just as a seed does not grow in dry soil, your spirit cannot thrive when every word you tell yourself is harsh. When you speak with kindness to yourself, it does not mean you avoid discipline. It does not mean you lower your standards or excuse your mistakes. It means you give yourself the same encouragement that you would give to someone you truly want to see succeed. If a child falls while learning to walk, you do not shout at them. You do not call them weak. You do not tell them to give up. You say, "Get up. Try again, you can do this." That simple message creates courage. That same message spoken to yourself has the power to create resilience in your own journey. The energy of your words carries into every part of your being. If your words are filled with fear, then fear becomes your lens. If your words are filled with belief, then possibility becomes your lens. You may face the same challenge, but the energy with which you approach it will change the outcome. Telling yourself, "I will never succeed," closes every door before you even knock. Telling yourself, "I can try again, I can learn, I can grow," opens doors you could not see before. The difference is not in the challenge but in the energy your words create. Even in silence, the inner conversation continues. The thoughts you repeat, the labels you attach to yourself, they settle deep inside like roots. Over time, they shape your confidence, your patience, your determination. If those roots are poisoned with negativity, they will choke your growth. But if they are watered with kindness and strength, they will produce a spirit that stands firm no matter how strong the storm. So you must choose your words carefully, because every word is a seed, and every seed grows into something you will carry. Choose words of belief, words of encouragement, words that remind you of your strength. Do not wait for the world to speak those words to you, because sometimes it will not. Learn to give them to yourself first. That is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the practice of creating an inner environment where energy flows instead of fades. Remember, the words you tell yourself are not just sounds in your mind. They are energy. They are direction. They are the silent force that shapes your path. When you begin to speak to yourself like someone you love, you will notice that the weight you once carried becomes lighter, and the road you walk becomes clearer. That is the power of words, and that is the power you already hold within. Harsh self-talk weakens the spirit, while kind self-talk builds resilience. This is something most people realize only after years of struggling against themselves. The words you speak inside are not just harmless thoughts. They carry weight, they carry influence, they shape the way you feel about who you are and what you can become. Every time you judge yourself harshly, every time you replay mistakes with cruel words, you cut away a piece of your inner strength. Slowly, the spirit becomes tired. And when the spirit is tired, even the smallest challenges feel overwhelming. Think of how many times you have spoken to yourself in ways you would never speak to someone you care for. You make one mistake and you call yourself a failure. You fall short in one area and you label yourself as not good enough. If you said those words to someone else, they would be crushed. They would begin to doubt their worth. And yet, because it is your own voice, you convince yourself it is normal, that it is somehow necessary to stay hard on yourself. But harshness does not build. Harshness destroys. True resilience is not created by breaking yourself down. It is created by building yourself up again and again, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Imagine a warrior training every single day under a master who only insults him, only criticizes, never encourages. That warrior may last for a while, but eventually his spirit will break. He will stop believing in himself, and without belief, the body cannot move with strength. Now imagine the same warrior training with a master who pushes him with discipline, but also with faith, who corrects him firmly but reminds him he can improve, who expects effort but also gives encouragement. That warrior will grow stronger, not just in body, but in mind and in spirit. You must become that kind of master to yourself. Resilience is the ability to continue to rise, to adapt, to recover. And this ability is deeply connected to how you speak to yourself in difficult moments. When life throws challenges at you, when failure comes, when fear whispers, resilience is either weakened or strengthened by your self-talk. If in those moments you tell yourself you are worthless, that you cannot handle it, your spirit bends under the weight. But if in those same moments you say to yourself, I can endure, I can learn, I can try again, you give your spirit a reason to rise. Harsh self-talk often disguises itself as discipline. You convince yourself that you must be strict, you must be hard, you must never show softness to yourself. But discipline without compassion is like fire without balance. It burns everything until nothing remains. Kind self-talk does not remove discipline, it strengthens it. Because when you speak kindly, you restore energy. And that energy is what allows discipline to continue for years, not just for days. There will always be challenges. There will always be setbacks. Life itself is full of obstacles, and no one escapes them. The difference between the person who breaks and the person who grows is not the absence of struggle, it is the presence of resilience. And resilience is not found in cruelty to yourself, it is found in kindness. When you fall and you tell yourself, get up, you are capable, you rise faster. When you fail and you say, learn from this, it will make you stronger, you grow wiser. When you fear and you whisper, you have walked through storms before, you can walk through this one too. You give your heart the courage it needs. Do not mistake kindness for weakness. Weakness is giving up on yourself. Weakness is refusing to try again. Kindness is what fuels the strength to keep moving. It is what keeps the spirit alive when everything else feels heavy. A kind word to yourself in the middle of a storm can be the very force that carries you to the other side. So let your self-talk be a source of power, not poison. When you are harsh, you weaken the foundation of your spirit. When you are kind, you build resilience that no challenge can easily break. And in the end, resilience is what allows you not only to survive, but to thrive. To love yourself in words is to give your mind the strength to rise again. Many people underestimate the power of words, thinking they are light, thinking they are temporary, thinking they disappear once spoken. But words do not vanish. They leave impressions, they leave traces. And when they are repeated often enough, they become the beliefs that shape your life. When those words are directed at yourself, they carry even greater weight because they settle deep inside where no one else can reach. If you fill that space with words of care, of strength, of patience, you are giving your mind the very fuel it needs to recover from failure and to stand tall in the face of difficulty. You cannot expect your mind to remain strong if every word you feed it is harsh and discouraging. The mind is like a warrior. But even a warrior cannot keep fighting if every command given is filled with doubt. Imagine standing before a mountain you must climb. If your inner voice says, you are too weak, you cannot make it, this mountain is too high, then your legs will already feel heavy. Your breath will shorten, and your spirit will hesitate before you even take the first step. But if your inner voice says, you are capable, you have strength within you, step by step you will reach the top. Then something changes inside. Your body responds, your spirit responds, and suddenly the mountain no longer feels impossible. The challenge is the same, but the strength to rise comes from the words you give yourself. There are moments in life when you will fall, when mistakes will make you doubt your worth. It is in these very moments that the words you choose decide whether you rise or remain broken. If you tell yourself, this is the end, I cannot recover, I have failed, then your mind will believe it and your spirit will sink deeper. But if you tell yourself, this is not the end, this is part of the journey, I will rise again, then your mind begins to build energy. Your spirit begins to search for ways to stand, and your heart gathers courage. This is the difference between staying down and getting back up. Some people fear that speaking with love to themselves will make them lazy, that it will make them comfortable in failure. But loving yourself in words is not about avoiding responsibility. It is about creating the inner strength to carry responsibility. If you speak with love, you are not saying failure is acceptable. You are saying failure is not final. You are not saying weakness is permanent. You are saying strength can be rebuilt. These words do not excuse you. They empower you. When you love yourself in words, you remind your mind that it is not broken beyond repair. You remind your heart that pain is not a reason to quit. You remind your spirit that setbacks are temporary. This kind of self-talk is like water to a thirsty tree. It revives, it nourishes, it allows growth where there was once only dryness. Without this nourishment, the tree withers. Without loving words, the mind does the same. You have already spoken words of love to others. You know the effect it has. You have told a friend, "I believe in you," and you watched how their face lit up, how their energy shifted. You have comforted someone with, "You are stronger than you think," and you saw how their steps grew steadier. The same effect is waiting for you if you direct those words inward. Your mind is listening. Your spirit is listening. And the words you choose can either break them or rebuild them. This is why loving yourself in words is not a small practice. It is essential. Life will test you. Life will push you. Life will sometimes leave you breathless. But when you speak to yourself with love, you give your mind the reminder it needs. You are capable of rising again. You are capable of healing, of learning, of continuing. That is the true power of words, and that is the strength you already hold within. Discipline with compassion is the path to real growth. Too often, people believe that growth comes only through strictness, through constant pressure, through never allowing themselves a moment of softness. They confuse discipline with cruelty, and in doing so, they exhaust themselves until the will to continue disappears. Discipline without compassion is a cage, but discipline with compassion is a guide. It does not weaken you. It strengthens you in a way that lasts. When you are disciplined without compassion, every mistake feels like failure. Every misstep feels like proof that you are not good enough. You become your own harshest judge, punishing yourself for being human. And what happens when the weight of judgment becomes too heavy? You stop moving forward. You give up not because the goal was impossible, but because you made the journey unbearable. The truth is, no one thrives under constant punishment. Even the strongest spirit can break if it is never allowed to rest, never allowed to be reminded of its worth. Now think about what happens when discipline is balanced with compassion. You still expect effort from yourself, you still hold yourself to a standard, but when you stumble, you do not destroy yourself with words of hate. Instead, you acknowledge the mistake, you learn from it, and you continue. That is real strength. It is not about never falling. It is about the ability to rise every time you fall, without carrying unnecessary wounds caused by your own harshness. Compassion does not mean lowering your standards. It does not mean excusing laziness. Compassion means treating yourself with fairness, giving yourself the space to learn and grow without fear of being crushed by your own judgment. A master who truly wants his student to succeed will not only demand effort, but will also remind the student that progress takes time. That is the balance between discipline and compassion. Without the discipline, there is no progress. Without the compassion, there is no endurance. Growth is a long journey. If you want to walk it, you need both the firmness of discipline and the softness of compassion. Think of it like training your body. If you push without rest, the body breaks. But if you combine effort with recovery, the body grows stronger. The same is true for the mind and the spirit. Too much harshness and you weaken yourself. Too much softness and you stop challenging yourself. The balance is where transformation happens. When you speak to yourself with discipline and compassion, your words become a force that guides you forward without draining your strength. For example, after a mistake, discipline says, "You must do better." Compassion adds, "And you can do better because you are capable." Together, these words push you while also lifting you. They do not let you settle for less, but they also do not destroy you for not being perfect. Without compassion, discipline feels like chains. With compassion, discipline feels like purpose. And purpose is what gives you the strength to endure. Every day, when you hold yourself accountable with love, you create a cycle of growth that no setback can easily break. You build resilience because you are not fighting against yourself anymore. You are guiding yourself. There will be days when discipline alone feels heavy. On those days, compassion is what allows you to keep going. And there will be days when compassion alone feels too soft. On those days, discipline is what keeps you moving forward. Each one supports the other, each one completes the other. Together, they form the path to real and lasting growth. So remember this: speak to yourself in a way that demands your best, but also reminds you that you are worthy of patience. Be firm but kind. Be disciplined but compassionate. That is the balance that turns struggle into strength, failure into lessons, and effort into true progress. And that is the path that leads to real growth. You become your own greatest master when you speak with belief and patience. A master is not simply someone who gives commands or pushes endlessly. A master is one who guides with vision, who believes in the potential of the student, even when the student cannot see it yet. And when it comes to your own life, no one will walk beside you more than your own mind. The voice inside you can either act as a master that builds or a master that breaks. The choice of which one you become is shaped by the words you tell yourself every single day. Belief is the foundation. If you do not believe in yourself, discipline becomes punishment, effort becomes meaningless, and dreams become heavy burdens rather than possibilities. Belief is what turns struggle into progress because it gives you a reason to keep moving. Think of how a student grows under a master who believes in them. Even when the student stumbles, even when mistakes pile up, the master reminds them that growth is possible, that potential exists, that success is waiting if they continue. Those reminders plant seeds of strength. In the same way, when you speak to yourself with belief, you are planting seeds that will one day become resilience, courage, and wisdom. But belief alone is not enough. You must add patience. Growth does not happen in an instant. It takes time, repetition, and countless attempts. Without patience, belief turns into frustration because you expect results too soon. Patience is the steady reminder that every step, no matter how small, is part of the journey. A master who demands perfection instantly breaks the spirit of the student. But a master who demands effort while teaching patience builds strength that lasts for a lifetime. In your own life, when you combine belief with patience, you create an inner environment where progress becomes natural rather than forced. When you lack belief, your own words become chains. You convince yourself that you cannot, that you are not ready, that you are not enough. Those chains hold you back before the world even has a chance to challenge you. But when you choose to believe in yourself, you remove those chains. You give yourself permission to try, to learn, to rise again. And when you add patience, you stop tearing yourself down for not reaching the finish line quickly. Instead, you focus on the process, on the growth that is happening each day, often in ways you cannot see immediately. The combination of belief and patience makes you unshakable. With belief, you know you are capable. With patience, you know the journey will unfold in its time. Together, they silence the doubts that whisper when results are slow. Together, they create the mindset of a true master, one who guides instead of destroys. Consider how often you have spoken to yourself with impatience. You start something new, and when progress does not appear instantly, you begin to criticize yourself, to question your abilities. That impatience drains your energy. It convinces you to quit before the seeds you planted have had the chance to grow. But when you speak with patience, you say, "Keep going, it will come." Every effort is adding to the result. Those words shift your energy from frustration to persistence, from doubt to determination. A true master knows that greatness is not built in one day. It is built step by step, through belief that does not waver and patience that does not run out. If you want to be your own greatest master, then your inner voice must reflect those qualities. It must encourage when you doubt, and it must calm when you grow restless. It must remind you that you are capable, and it must remind you that time is your ally, not your enemy. So do not let your inner voice be a master of cruelty, rushing you, doubting you, breaking you. Let it be a master of belief and patience, guiding you, supporting you, and reminding you of your strength. That is how you truly become your own greatest master. Gentle encouragement turns failure into a lesson, not a prison. Everyone will face failure at some point in life. There is no path of growth, no path of strength that does not include falling, stumbling, and being tested. Yet what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck is not the failure itself, but the meaning they give it. Failure by itself is neutral. It is the voice inside your mind that decides whether failure becomes a teacher or whether it becomes a prison that locks you away. When you speak to yourself harshly after failure, you take away your own freedom. You tell yourself, this means I am not good enough. This means I cannot succeed. This means I should stop. With those words, you turn failure into chains. You stop trying, you stop believing, and slowly you begin to fear not just failure, but even the attempt. The prison is not built by the failure. It is built by the way you talk to yourself afterward. But when you speak to yourself with gentle encouragement, everything changes. You say, yes, I fell, but I can rise again. Yes, I made mistakes, but mistakes are teachers. Yes, this hurts, but the hurt is shaping me. With those words, failure no longer closes the door. It opens a new one. It becomes part of the process instead of the end of the story. Gentle encouragement does not remove responsibility. It does not pretend failure never happened. Instead, it gives you the courage to keep walking, to keep trying, and to keep learning until success arrives. Think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. If the child falls and hears only harsh words like, "You are useless," or "You will never learn," they will not get back on the bicycle. They will believe the fall means they are incapable. But if the child hears, "Get up, try again, you are learning, you are closer now than before," then the fall becomes part of growth. The encouragement makes them rise, and with every attempt, they move closer to balance. That same principle applies to you, no matter your age, no matter your stage of life. Gentle encouragement creates resilience. It reminds you that one failure does not define you, that one mistake is not your identity. Resilience is not about never falling. It is about rising again and again until the fall no longer has the power to break you. Encouragement fuels that rising. Without it, failure pushes you down. With it, failure teaches you how to stand taller. Failure is not your enemy. Fear of failure is. And fear grows stronger when your own words make every mistake feel like a death sentence. But when your words are filled with encouragement, fear begins to shrink. You start to see failure not as something to avoid, but as something to learn from. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" And you start asking, "What can I learn if I do?" That shift opens a door that harshness will always keep closed. Even the greatest masters in history were shaped by failure. They failed more times than most people even dared to try. What kept them moving was not perfection. It was the ability to turn every failure into wisdom. And that wisdom was born from the inner voice that told them, "Continue. You have the same ability. You have the same choice." Every time you fall, your words decide if you will stay down or rise. So the next time you face failure, pause and listen to how you speak to yourself. Ask if your words are building walls or opening doors. Ask if your words are chaining you to the past or guiding you toward the future. Choose gentle encouragement because it transforms failure from something that limits you into something that shapes you. And when failure becomes your teacher instead of your prison, there is no limit to how far you can rise. The foundation of unshakable strength begins with how you speak to yourself. Strength is not only measured by muscles, speed, or achievements. True strength begins deep within. in the quiet conversations you have with yourself when no one else is around. Before you face the world, before you respond to challenges, before you rise to opportunities, you are already shaping your strength through the words you repeat inside your own mind. If those words are filled with doubt, negativity, and self-judgment, then the ground beneath you will always feel unstable. But if those words are filled with belief, patience, and encouragement, then the ground becomes steady, and from that foundation, you can build anything. Life constantly tests us. There are storms that shake our confidence, losses that wound our hearts, and failures that make us question our worth. In those moments, people often look outside for strength. They look to others for reassurance, for guidance, for support. While that can help, the strongest source of stability comes from within. If you cannot trust your own voice, if you cannot rely on your own encouragement, then no amount of outside support will keep you steady for long. Your own words are the foundation, and everything else builds upon them. Think of a house built on weak ground. No matter how beautiful the walls, no matter how strong the roof, it will eventually collapse because the foundation cannot hold it. In the same way, no matter how talented you are, no matter how many opportunities you receive, if your inner words are weak and destructive, your strength will not last. The smallest setback will feel like disaster. The smallest failure will feel like the end. But if the foundation is solid, if your words to yourself are strong and supportive, then even when storms come, you remain standing. This is why the way you speak to yourself each day is not a small matter. It is the beginning of every action, every decision, every dream you chase. If you tell yourself, "I cannot," your body follows with hesitation. If you tell yourself, "I can," your body follows with energy. If you tell yourself, "I am worthless," you will carry yourself with weakness. If you tell yourself, "I am learning, I am growing, I am capable," you will carry yourself with quiet strength that no one can easily shake. Unshakable strength is not loud. It does not always need to show itself on the outside. It is silent but steady. It is the calm in the middle of chaos, the confidence in the middle of uncertainty, the resilience in the middle of pain. And that kind of strength can only be built when your inner words are aligned with encouragement and belief. Harsh words create cracks in the foundation, but loving words fill those cracks with resilience. Over time, those small acts of self-talk build a base so strong that nothing outside can easily break it. Even when others doubt you, even when circumstances seem impossible, your own words can carry you forward. If you say to yourself, "I will endure, I will continue, I will rise," then no amount of negativity from outside can bring you down. You will bend but not break. You will fall but not remain fallen. That is unshakable strength. The ability to keep standing no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. And it all begins in the smallest of places, with the simplest of practices, the words you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. Those whispers create your beliefs, those beliefs create your actions, and those actions create your destiny. Speak to yourself as if you are building a foundation, because you are. Speak to yourself as if you are preparing for storms, because they will come. Speak to yourself with love and strength, because that is how unshakable strength is born. So never forget this truth. The foundation of your greatest strength begins with the voice inside your own mind. If that voice supports you, nothing can easily defeat you. If that voice believes in you, no challenge can fully break you. Speak to yourself like someone you love, because from that love, you will discover the strength to stand unshaken through it all. So as we reach the end of this journey together, remember that the greatest conversations you will ever have are the ones you hold with yourself. The voice inside is always with you, shaping your courage, your discipline, your patience, and your resilience. If you choose to make that voice an enemy, life will feel heavier than it truly is. But if you choose to make that voice a friend, a guide, a source of belief, then no obstacle will be too great, no failure will be final, and no storm will be enough to silence your spirit. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Lift yourself when you fall, encourage yourself when you doubt, and remind yourself that you are stronger than you realize. This is not a one-time practice. It is a daily choice, a lifelong discipline, and the foundation of unshakable strength. When you master this, you will discover that the love you give yourself becomes the very energy that transforms not only your own life, but the lives of everyone around you. I wish you the courage to continue, the patience to endure, and the wisdom to rise again no matter how many times you fall. May your inner voice always be your greatest ally. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for sharing this moment with me.